How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. In today's video, we are going to be reverse leveling my 2017 Silverado. For those of you that aren't familiar with what reverse leveling is, rather than lifting up the front of your truck, you lower the rear. And the way we're going to be doing that is by removing the rear blocks. Now, for this, we're going to be using our breaker bar with the 21 mil socket to get the nuts loose for the U-bolts, and then we're going to use the impact to get them off the rest of the way. And then we're going to be taking our jack and lifting up, I believe, on the front side of the leaf spring, and just enough to where we can slide that block out. We shouldn't really need anything else. These U-bolts look long enough to be reused after the blocks are taken out, but we're just going to have to see. I have done this before on my first 2016 that I had. However, it was a single cab, and not all these trucks are the same. So we're just gonna have to see once we get the block out, and we're just gonna start with the one side. And in case U-bolts aren't long enough, well, we only have done it to one side and put it back together, and we can just address this another time. So, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I actually went ahead and started one of these off camera just so I can get a feel for how tight these are on here. Awesome. Went right on there. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and torque these down with the breaker bar, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to the other side. I'm not going to film the other side just because y'all already saw how to do this one, but actually, before I do that side, I'm going to go ahead and get a measurement of the difference between this side and that side. I probably should have done that before I took this block out, but now we have like a direct side-by-side comparison, so let's go ahead and do that. This side, we're looking at pretty much right at 38 inches. This says 37 and a half. I'm just going to go ahead and chalk that up to the fact that the driveway isn't exactly level, so it's pretty clear that the right side is sitting up higher than the left side, so it's got to be due to the driveway. But once we get the passenger side done, we'll go out and get a better look at it once everything's nice and equal. All right, guys, we are done. Honestly, the entire process if I didn't have to constantly move around on my little dolly. Probably took about 20 to 30 minutes. The bolts, the nuts broke free pretty easily, and honestly, the lowering of the truck and lining up the leaf springs onto the rear axle didn't give me much grief at all. I think I got it first try on both sides, which I know that part usually gives people a lot of hell, but honestly, it came out great. Obviously, it didn't lower it. It wasn't like a complete drop, but it did help alleviate some of that horrendous factory rake, which, it's not bad. It's obviously far from finished. I can only imagine how it's going to look once I get my my leveling kit in, or lift kit. We haven't decided yet. Well, I guess it depends on what type of lift, on what you consider a lift, but because the front end is going to come up at some point, and we're just going to have to see how this plays out with the rear end being dropped probably about an inch. Actually, let's go ahead and measure it. Okay, we're sitting at pretty much a hair over 37 inches on this side, and this side's right at 37 inches. So depending on how uneven the pavement is, it's pretty much 37 inches on both sides. Overall, it's not much, but it's the little things that start adding up that really changes the whole aesthetic of the truck, and this is just first of many things. The truck still looks great, but it needs a little bit more, which is all in due time. And again, for those of you at home that are wanting to do this yourselves, I would definitely recommend, once you get the blocks out and put everything back together, just periodically take a look underneath the truck, make sure all the nuts are still nice and fastened. If anything, I torqued mine down more than what the factory torque spec was. But honestly, when I took the nuts off, more so this side, because maybe it's because I started this side with the breaker bar and I started this side with like a regular ratchet. These didn't really come off with too much force, so you might not even have to torque them down that much. But it's a steel nut, and the washer that's with it is also metal, so it's not like you got a rubber gasket that you chance messing up with too much contact. So I don't think you can go too wrong with snugging it more than what it was when you undid it. So, and I've seen a lot of videos where people did jack stands on both sides and jacked up the whole rear end of the truck. You don't have to do that. Just of course, just do one side at a time, but undo the nuts on the U-bolts, drop the plate that holds everything together on the bottom side, put your jack. I definitely recommend having a bigger jack, or else you're going to have to use blocks, and that can get a little dicey. But I recommend jacking up the front of the, actually I'll just go ahead and show you. I recommend jacking up right here, putting your jack right underneath here and lifting up. Obviously you don't have to jack it up too high, because then you create more room for air with lowering the truck back down. I pretty much just jacked up the thing enough just to slide the block out, left the U-bolts in place, and once the block was out, I just eased it, and they both pretty much just fell right into place. I didn't have to do no maneuvering of the rear axle, so easy day. But yeah, those are little just additional information for those out there that are wondering, because those are some of the big questions. But with that being said, guys, hopefully y'all enjoyed the video. And for all y'all out there that are wanting to do the same thing, hopefully this was very informative for you. That's a wrap for this one. I'll see you in the next one.